Alright, SmackDown starts off with John Cena and Cody Rhodes. Well, mainly John Cena, because Cody Rhodes barely said anything in this promo. Cena basically ends up thanking Cody, ends up saying that he built the reputation off of hard work, loyalty, and respect, but he ends up saying that he flushed it down the toilet a few months ago due to some guys, basically due to The Rock, basically. And he basically ends up, I wouldn't say burying The Rock, but basically it looks like John Cena's officially a babyface. He ends up basically cutting a babyface promo and basically ends up saying that he's back to the way he used to be and that the way he's been acting was a terrible mistake and that he was in the wrong and that he's back to who he used to be. And he basically hypes up the match for SummerSlam. So this is very confusing. Now, to be fair, I will give WWE some slack here. Is that it's kind of hard for them to really tell the story of John Cena wanting to ruin wrestling and all that due to The Rock and Travis Scott, because the Travis Scott falling out, their relationship isn't good, and then The Rock, of course, doing what he does, which is constantly being in storylines and then not finishing them due to his movie schedule. So due to those, interferences and those struggles, they can't really tell the story properly. So I don't really mind this. Now, I thought they was going to do the babyface turn during the match. I thought that's what was going to happen. But the fact that they did it on tonight's SmackDown is very interesting. I don't hate it. It's unfortunate we couldn't get a proper story with this, but due to The Rock's involvement and of him not wanting to finish the story, kind of ruined everything, to be fair. So I'm not mad at it though. Very interesting to see how the match plays out. Now, the interesting question is Cody Rhodes going to turn heel? I don't think so. I just don't think it makes logical sense. I just don't think it's time yet, to be honest with you. Now, some people say Cody shouldn't turn heel due to him not having a babyface to replace him. I don't really think that's really an issue. We had 4 years of Roman Reigns being the face of the company and he was a heel. So I don't really think that's really a reasoning why WWE can't really have Cody turn heel. I just don't think it's proper timing for him to turn heel. I still think he has stories that he needs to be finished first before he turns heel. Once those stories are finished, then we could go through a Cody Rhodes heel turn. But who knows? Cody Rhodes could easily turn heel at SummerSlam, and I could look like a complete idiot. But nonetheless, this was a fine promo. Interested to see how this match plays out at SummerSlam, though. Afterwards, though, we ended up getting a Women's United States Championship title match between Julia and Zelina Vega. This was a really good match. Really enjoyed it. Very shocked that this match was actually good because I had little to no expectations of this match because the matches previously have been very bad or been very mid. So I didn't have high hopes for this, but this match was actually really good. I hope this is a sign. I hope this match proves that they need more TV time and hopefully they start booking this championship with some actual effort and stop being lazy with this championship. But I'm going to tempt my expectations because WWE has been proven to me that they don't care about this title. So hopefully this is a step in the right direction. This was a really good match. Hopefully Julia has a good title run because I want her to have a good title run. I want her to prove me wrong. Hopefully I can become more of a fan of her. This is a step in the right direction. Hopefully they continue this. Now we end up getting Damian Priest versus Aleister Black. They end up having a match which led to a disqualification, of course, as I assumed it would, because neither person can really afford a loss, and plus Triple H loves both of these wrestlers, so this feud is going to be a bit confusing on who actually wins this feud. Aleister Black ends up getting a steel chair. He attacks him with it. Then he uses the steel steps. Ends up yamming his head against the steel steps, and then he ends up hitting his finisher. So this just continues the feud. Very interested to see where this goes because, like I said, Triple H likes both of these guys, and both guys are heavily protected. So I'm very interested to see how he books this because Triple H has a real problem with protecting wrestlers a bit too much, and he has a problem with having guys lose cleanly. So very interested to see how he books both wrestlers that he really likes into a way where one person has to stand tall. Very interested to see how this matchup plays out. The match was actually pretty solid before it ended disqualification as well. So very interested to see how this plays out. We end up getting Tala Tonga versus Jimmy Uso. Now, Tala Tonga picks up a victory. He ends up winning cleanly, which I did like because you need the MFTs to look somewhat stronger. But then we end up getting a moment where there was a steel cage above them. And they end up jumping Jimmy Uso, and then they end up telling, whoever's in control of the steel cage to raise the steel cage down. Now, the idea of this segment was to bring the steel cage down and lock Jimmy Uso in the steel cage so they could jump him. But they end up stopping the steel cage for whatever reason, And then they have Jacob Fatu come in at the last minute, even though the steel cage they stopped lowering the steel cage for like 5 minutes, but they ended up trying to act like Jacob Fatu got in at the last second. Okay, that was my problem because if you wanted Jacob Fatu to make the save before the steel cage ended up, completely closing, what they could have done is just had Jacob Fatu come out earlier because I understand you wanted to be safe, but what you could have done is just had Jacob Fatu come out earlier before the steel cage got like super low. You could have popped his music when it got halfway or when it was close to halfway, have him run in. There was ways to prevent that. It was very awkward because they try to sell it like he got in at the last second. Like, no, they stopped the steel cage for like 5 minutes before he even got. It was very weird. You end up getting Jacob Fatu. You get the predictable outcome that we've been getting for the past few weeks, which is Jacob Fatu basically annihilates all of the. Well, Jake Solo and Tala Tonga ends up escaping the steel cage where it was just Tonga Loa and Jeff Cobb. They was the two who ended up getting obliterated by Jacob Fatu. So we'll see how this match plays out. I'm not that excited about this match, which is very weird because I was actually excited for the storyline, but ever since Money in the Bank, they have constantly just repeated the same formula, which is Jacob Fatu annihilates all of the MFTs, and that's really it, which makes the story very just boring. It doesn't make the story fun because it makes Solo's group look weak, which I'm not expecting them to look strong, but it doesn't make me want to root for Jacob either because the whole point is to make a babyface feel sympathetic and feel sorry for them due to them being outnumbered. But it's like, if Jacob Fatu could just take up all the MFTs, it's like, I really shouldn't be rooting for Jacob, to be honest with you. I get that he's the babyface in this situation, but Jacob is not your typical babyface, so it's like, I don't know. I'm kind of hoping Solo wins, to be honest with you. I'm more entertained by Solo than I am Jacob Fatu right now, but that's mainly due to booking. But we'll see how this match plays out. Then we get the main event. Jelly Roll and this whole Drew McIntyre, Logan Paul. I'm not even going to go in depth on what Drew McIntyre and Logan Paul were saying. It was a fine promo. Randy Orton and Jelly Roll come out. It leads to a brawl that the babyfaces stand tall. That's really it. Then it ends with Randy Orton hitting a bunch of RKOs on security and Jelly Roll hits a choke slam on a security guard. That's really it. Not really gonna go that much in depth. This show wasn't bad. It was a fine show. Is what I expected from a go home show. They don't typically try that much with go home shows, so it is what it is. You guys, I'm not really gonna go that much in depth on the rest of the show because there really isn't much to go in depth on. But you guys let me know your overall thoughts, opinions down below. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. But yeah, that's it.